Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. This is our predicted lineup for Leicester City v Aston Villa. On this episode, we're going to go in depth on how Aston Villa beat Leicester City. We're going to take a look at Leicester City's style, how they play, what have they been doing. They transition in the way that they are playing with Steve Cooper as their manager, similarities to Nottingham Forest as well. So I really want to take a look on Villa in this episode because on the last two predicted lineups, we've gone really in depth on the opposition. We've gone into how they play, how we defend. But for me, going into this game, it's all about Aston Villa and what we do. And it's all about Aston Villa controlling the game, being dominant, putting in a strong performance and bringing that intensity. And I want to see a proper 90-plus minute Unai Emery tactical masterclass, and it can happen. So we've got some real good images that I'm going to show you that are going to break down how Aston Villa exploit Leicester City. If you are new around here, make sure you are subscribing. Smash a like on this episode. Let's go big. If you enjoy the content, smash a like. Let's get 1,000 likes on this episode and comment your thoughts in the comment section down below. So I've gone early, back to front episode, different to normal. And I've put my team in. So I've gone with Martinez, Nedeljkovic with Cash being out, Konsa, Pau, the big one, and stick around for the whole of this episode so you'll understand why I've done this section first. Maatsen gets his first Premier League start for Aston Villa. Onana, Tielemans, McGinn, Bailey, Rodgers and Watkins. So it's the same lineup, just with Luka Dean out and Maatsen in, and Nedeljkovic gets his start for Matty Cash being out injured as well. Nottingham Forest, Steve Cooper were the absolute monsters at low block football. He's so good at setting his team up. They are so difficult to break down. And we saw this at the City Ground last season, where on transition, Nottingham Forest were able to hurt Villa and exploit Villa. For me, I do not want to see any type of pattern that follows this move here, with the whole of the Aston Villa side scrambling and running back to goal, because the blueprint from Cooper is to be narrow, compact, organised, counter-attacking transitional football and hit us on the break. Aston Villa have to bring complete control to this game for us to be able to get maximum points out of this game, because it is going to be difficult. We are going to have to break down a mid to low block, and it's going to be vitally important that Aston Villa are able to keep their shape, keep their control, and just be absolutely dominant on the pitch. So Leicester City, what are they? What will they do? In essence, they're a 4-2-3-1 that can shift without the ball into a 4-4-2. What you'll see is Buonanotte and Vardy being that front two, that without the ball, they'll be pressing from the front and they will form into this 4-4-2 shape. But without the ball, you'll see Buonanotte going a little bit deeper, making up that three in midfield. And then in essence, it becomes a 4-3-2-1 with Fatawu and Decordova-Reid out wide. Their players are very solid, very strong. They are lacking a little bit of flair. They're lacking that little bit of what I would say Premier League X factor / quality. I imagine they're going to be a really hard-working team, a team that will keep pretty much most teams honest. You look at some of their signings this transfer window, they've signed Oliver Skip, they've signed Jordan Ayew. So those are Premier League experienced players, but there's a lack of X factor there. Then the big thing for Leicester, and when I was talking about at the start of the episode about Cooper's low block football, what you'll see from Leicester is that the majority of the game, their whole team will be on the width of the 18-yard box. And why they do this is because they're looking to control the central areas of the football pitch. So this area here, the complete width of the 18-yard box, this is the area in which Leicester are comfortable. They keep it compact, they keep it narrow, they keep it organised. But what they do allow, by having this organised, structured shape is that they allow the opposition to have the ball out wide. They're comfortable to let the opposition have the ball out wide. You see a lot of Premier League sides that do this. And we've done it to an extent when we was away at Man City last season, because if you allow the opposition to have space out wide, it enables you to get set and get control in the middle of the pitch, like you can see in the width of the 18-yard box. And for that ball to go in, something's got to happen for the opposition to score. It's got to be either a worldy cross, it's got to be an overload, etc. And they're just comfortable to allow the opposition to have space out wide. So with all of this being said, I'm going to start to show you now some of the areas in which I feel like Aston Villa will be able to exploit Leicester. And remember, I mentioned Ian Maatsen. Maatsen is key. Maatsen, for me, is absolutely key to this game. So if we have a look at some of the images, both sets of images are from this season. So this image here is from the game against Fulham. And what you can see is exactly what I've just described. You've got the majority, well, you've got the whole Leicester side that are in the width of the 18-yard box. And what you can see now is that Fulham set up their shape to allow Traore and Robinson to hug the touchline. Leicester, super comfortable for Fulham to be out here. But in essence, this is an area that Aston Villa are going to be able to exploit, in my opinion. We can see here from the game against Spurs, again, they're in the same width of the 18-yard box, and they're allowing Spurs to have the players that are sitting out wide. So I imagine they're going to do the exact same thing for Aston Villa. The team want to get set in that 18-yard zone, and they want to be able to have control. They want to control the middle of the park. They want to stop the passes going into the middle, but they'll allow space to go out wide. And by being compact, by being set around the 18-yard box, there's a lack of space for the oppositions to exploit, because there's a lack of space here where the opposition are going to struggle to run off the back of. They're going to struggle to run off the shoulder. So that is where they are super, super comfortable. And you can see here now that the ball has gone out to Son. Son's got space. But what's important when a team are playing with a low block is that you're either having the overlaps, you're having the underlaps, because what the overlap and underlap will do is it will mean that one of these two players have got to follow this player here. So by following this player here, this player might go over there, and it'll give Son a little bit more, a half yard, to exploit this player that's going to be sitting in that zone through there as well. So again, the ball goes out wide. They've worked it nicely. They've worked a movement. Maddison's come into a central area now. Maddison gets the ball across, and Porro puts a header, and he gets their first goal. So it's vitally important in this game that when Aston Villa have got complete control, that we are making sure we've got ultimate movements, overlap, underlap, players dropping deep, players making those runs across defenders. It's vitally important that that's what we do against Leicester City, because they're going to be setting their shape, and it's up to Aston Villa to be the team that can drag them around and move things along. And this is why I think Maatsen is absolutely key for this game, because he's got the pace, he's got the dynamic edge to his game, he's got the delivery, he's got the confidence, and he's got the calmness to be in these areas here. The link up with him and McGinn, Maddison was the one for Spurs that was getting into this sort of area and was the player that was dictating play. And I imagine that Morgan Rogers is probably going to be that player for Villa who starts to come a little bit deeper and starts linking the play. And I've just got this vision of Maatsen being able to be that player that can really exploit this Leicester City side. Again, we've got another image here. 18-yard box. We've got the two players through here. And if you're talking about who's going to be our left-sided player on this left-hand side, it's going to be Maatsen. Maatsen is going to be the player for Aston Villa that is in these areas that he's bombing on, because how our system works, we want our left back to actively act as a winger. So we're comfortable for Maatsen to be this player that's in this area. And I think his delivery, I think his pace, and I think his speed is going to really be able to exploit it. Imagine here as well, we've got Leon Bailey. But the big thing as well, the areas that I think are able to be exploited are overloads at the back post as well. Runners coming off the back post. Leicester, to me, seem to be a little bit off it with their blindsided runs from the opposition. So if it's a cross from this side to this side, a little bit out, sort of like, imagine a Alex Moreno goal for Aston Villa. That type of move, I think, is going to be key to getting something out of this game and beating Leicester. We can see here now that the press for Leicester, they were comfortable to play with a triangle. So at the tip of the triangle, they've got a player that is going to be blocking out the deepest line player for Aston Villa. And then you've got the press here that's going to go into this direction. But note that there's a lack of engagement again out wide. And this movement here, there was a ball that was played down the line. It was fed in field. It was played to Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe was in acres of space and was able to finish the goal. So here, this isn't a great movement from Leicester. They allowed Fulham to play out from the back. They were slow. They didn't press well. And again, over that side, we've got an overload of two players that are able to exploit the far side on Leicester City. So it's important that if we can exploit them quickly, that we do so, because once they get set, they are comfortable at playing it around, and they're comfortable of just trying to manipulate where Villa go and where Villa attack. Again, we've got another cross that's going into the back post. This was against Fulham as well. We've got an overload at the back post. We've got an opportunity, like I say, for that sort of back post runner, somebody running on that blind side. So there's so many areas and options that Aston Villa can really look to exploit. Again, we've got another opportunity here. Player at the back post, not picked up. We've got Leicester in the width for that 18-yard box. So basically what I'm saying is it's vitally important that Aston Villa exploit the width that Leicester City allow us to have. And we've got players that can do that. We've got Maatsen, we've got Bailey, we've got Ramsey, if Ramsey needs to come on in the game as well. We've got Philogene, but it's about being direct, powerful, and exploiting them. Here we have got Leicester playing out from the back, where they are not that comfortable either. They're slow, they're ponderous, and if Villa go with that full press that we did against Arsenal, then we can cause them even more problems by not allowing them to play out from the back. Fowles tried to do a little flick here, didn't work off. There was an opportunity where Fulham could have scored again there as well. The danger man for Leicester is Vardy. Vardy's movement is really good, as you would expect. So it's important that we pick up Vardy. We're talking and we are making sure that we are picking up Vardy. And off set pieces, you can see here that they go with zonal and they go with... Move that over a little bit. And they go with man for man out there as well. So they're going for man at the edge of the box. So a little bit like how Villa set up as well. So those are all my graphics and images of areas that I think Aston Villa can exploit Leicester. And I think with the personnel that we've got the tools to be able to do so. But it's just all about Villa with our control and making sure that we control the game, we operate to the highest level, and we utilise the width. We move the ball quickly, because this is a test for Villa. And why this game is a test for Villa is because it's the first time this season that we're going to be coming up against a team that is going to be sitting with a low block. You know, I don't expect them to have all of the ball. I don't expect them to be the team that are going to be dominating Aston Villa. I expect Villa to be that team that are going to be able to just dictate play. And if I show you now how I really expect Villa to line up in this game, it's going to be something similar to this right here now. So I'm just getting it all set up for you. So this is how I expect Villa's shape of the team to look. basically on Saturday at 3 o'clock. So Bailey, comfortable out wide. They're going to have to double up on Bailey. We're going to have Maatsen on the opposite side, who's going to be operating in this channel here. We're going to have McGinn that's going to be making those forward runs to utilise and make space. Rodgers coming into these half spaces, making, even if he has to come a little bit deeper at times, Tielemans getting on the ball. And it's just got to make sure that our accuracy is good, our control's good, because what we don't want is to lose the ball, and on transition, you're going to have Vardy, Buonanotte exploiting our 3 or 2 at the back, however we are, whether we've got a player like Tielemans who's going to be holding as well. So that's my thoughts. That's my lineup. That's how I expect the game to go. I think it's going to be hopefully a really good game for Villa, and a game that we can dominate. And I think you look at our next set of fixtures now. We've got Leicester, we've got Everton, we've got Wolves. It's not wood on paper, but I think we are a side now that are so tactically astute that I think Emery will want to put in a real solid performance. In my head, for some reason, I've kind of got Burnley last season. That's how I kind of feel like this game's going to go for me. I think as long as we dominate the ball, dominate our shape, keep our shape well, then we should just do really well in this game. So Villa fans, let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you're feeling ahead of the game. Would you play Maatsen? Would you keep Luca Dean in? And I think that's pretty much everything to cover, really. I think it's important, again, that we don't concede from a corner. I think set pieces have got to be vitally important. I did have this to show you as well, so I'll show you this quickly. And it's a little bit of a comparison between Nottingham Forest against Villa last year and Leicester against Spurs this year. So you can kind of see the two formations together. They are pretty similar in certain areas. So against Villa, what you've got Aina, and you can see where his defensive position was. So the red is where he was doing all his defending. You've got Toffolo doing the same on that sort of right-hand side, their left side. You've got the two centre-backs who were doing some heavy-duty defending. You've got the midfield two, number 6 and 5. You've got 16, 10 and 21 who were their front three. So the 4-2-3-1 is a similar shape to what he was playing at Leicester. And you can see the touches further forward. If you remember this game, we really dominated the ball, but our final delivery was absolutely shocking. They allowed us to have space out wide, like I'm talking about what's going to happen in this game, but our quality was just woeful. The amount of times we got to the byline, there was overhit crosses. We just had no delivery. We were really frustrated when we'd come off that pitch because we'd had all of the ball. We'd had, how much possession did we had? We'd had 73% possession, but we really struggled in the final third to be creative. Now, against Spurs, if we have a look at their average positions in this game, so you can see the two central defenders again. They've got a little bit more width, the fullbacks, but you can see that they're still doing that heavy-duty defending. You've got the midfield two that are sort of doing that central work. You've got the front three of 7, 40 and 14, and then you've got number 9 up top. So it's a similar sort of system, and it's important that out wide, the creativity and the progression is very, very good. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. I've tried to show you where I think the game will be won. So let's see if that actually happens. I've shared my lineup with you as well. So let me know in the comments if you like it. If you don't like it, what would you do? How are you feeling about the game? How do you feel like the game's going to go? So yeah, I'm really liking doing these more tactical-based episodes that show the opposition, and hopefully you guys at home can learn things and look out for things, because, you know, some of the things that I'm saying are we are seeing those in the games. Like we saw the 3-2 build-up from Arsenal. That was something that I was talking about before the game. So I think it's cool. I think it's good. I think it's different. So hopefully you guys at home are enjoying it as well. So up the Villa.